weakness going forward. And this brings me back to the animal spirits theme, which is broader than just this housing market theme. But late in the Depression, a number of business people, this is 1938, were expressing worries that I say are worries about animal spirits. So Lamont DuPont, who was head of the DuPont Chemical Company, is quoted here as saying that we just have tremendous uncertainty now about government taxation, spending policies, legal restrictions, and that we're just kind of frozen into inaction. That's not his words, but that's how momentary paralysis of industry. This is a cause of the Depression that is central to the thinking that George Akerlof and I put forth in Animal Spirits. And it's related to this loss of excitement and enthusiasm about the housing market. But what do we do from here? I think that we do have a potential for a double dip, as I define it. I'm not talking about a little short run thing. I'm talking about a very slow recovery and then problems again before long when the economy hits its next recession. And then there might be a big drop in confidence. I just feel bad about concluding with such a negative. And let me just say, I'm trying to look at the bright side of this. I really don't know the future either, and I don't claim to. The point is that there are I didn't even mention the Greek crisis, by the way, but there are so many issues and there's so many things that are uncertain about the future that I really don't know. That's why I want to put it in the context of we are post-bubble. We've had bubbles in the stock market, the housing market. You could also add the oil market. And I see reasons to worry about the general state of our animal spirits going forward. But I'm still hoping for the best and hoping that I'm wrong about all of these concerns. So I'll stop there. And yes.
Thank you very much for being here today. One of your most interesting and actually troubling charts is the early one, U.S. unemployment rate 20 weeks and over, and how high that is and how far it's come down. And I want to ask a question about that relates to the housing bubble. To what extent have you looked beyond the national data on over 27 weeks to regions and localities to see to what extent the over 27 weeks figure relates to first housing bubble? And here's why I asked that question. To what extent is there going to be likely to slow decline in the unemployment rate for the long-term unemployed because they're locked in geographically, because they are a greater number of people in those areas are underwater in their houses and find it harder to move, to relocate to a more prosperous area than was the case in the past where you had far fewer people who were underwater in their homes.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The people do move less when they're underwater. There was a study in the last cycle, 10 years ago, that looked at regional data and showed that people just stay in their home because they could do a short sale, but often they don't, and they are just stuck there. I think that that is absolutely right, and I think that this thought may gain new prominence in our thinking about the wisdom of promoting owner-occupied homes. Congress has to reach a decision soon about what to do about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Those institutions were created by the government with the purpose of subsidizing home ownership, and it's a long-standing feeling that home ownership is a good thing. It's something that we particularly value in America because home ownership, over in Europe, they had lords and aristocrats that ran our lives. We don't want Americans to be living under the thumb of some landlord. Americans should be property owners. Well, I feel, some visceral sympathy with that view. But the other side of it is that renting is a really smart arrangement for many people, especially if it's done right. First of all, think of how much time you waste maintaining your house. Like you're pushing the lawnmower back and forth. A professional could get one of those big things, and mow the whole estate. You're doing all kinds of things around the house. It's your time. It's your life. The other thing, you end up commuting great distances because there's a change in your job. It would be easier just to move to another apartment. But the other thing about home ownership, which is being really learned in this crisis, is people end up putting all of their life savings in their home because you can't do otherwise. Basically, you've got to put in a down payment, and for a young person, it all goes there. And so then you're in a leveraged and risky investment in one city. And so when the price goes down, you get wiped out. That's what happened to something like 15 million Americans. I think that there's different response. I have a proposal in my book, Subprime Solution, that we should have a different kind of mortgage called a continuous workout mortgage that automatically resets your payments down, an automatic workout when home prices fall.